Hi, my name is Amy and thank you very much for watching. So I had a late start this morning. I had a all hands meeting I had to go to. I took a nap and I had lunch. And so now it is 3:30 p.m. I missed all of my self-imposed deadlines, mostly because I was working on this, which is my art gallery that is opening on October 15th. And I was trying to get the center tower to work, and I was getting frustrated. And I took a shower, and when I was thinking about it, I was like, okay, well, we have these other towers, they're all spirals. What if you made bubble dragons? Dragons made out of bubbles. So that's what I wound up doing last night. I used Tinkercad and I created them. And my only worry now is that the tails, I added the tails and it was a whole big thing. But does it look too crowded? It's hard to tell. But thank you for stretching on my laptop. I appreciate that. My cat's cute. She has every right to be everywhere in my condo. But when you look at it from a distance, the dragons now have entire bodies, which is nice. And then because it is not opaque, when you look in here, you can see the body under, you can look down in here, and I think also with these. So even though it's a little busy, it lets you look at the entire dragon, which is cool. And so instead of having 50 million more bubbles to place individually in this environment, which, by the way, I'm going to screenshot this because I am selling the making of Banned Books art as a free NFT gratuity type situation. But this, yeah, basically this is the reason why I did this. And if it looks busy when you're not looking at that, then I guess so be it. But basically, this doesn't need to be transparent, but it's kind of fun that it's a purple cloud and a pink sky, and I think we'll change anyway, I will get rid of this now. We are 8 hours and 41 minutes into this, which means we are still in lesson 6. And that means that my plan is still to get through lesson 7. I got sidetracked with my space and getting my gallery done, but now this means that I only have 4 more bubbles to place on the entire thing, and then we can start actually placing the artist, and which means that I can not have to worry about, I'm on time for my art gallery, which is good. Even though I'm not spending as much time in spaces because I'm doing this. Anyway, let's go through lesson 6, right? Lesson 6, and go towards lesson 7. What were we talking about? Also, we're going to have to pay the ads tax here soon. We're using hard hat. Locally, we have the deploy.js. We used the simple storage.address. Yeah. Let us record allow. I don't know how many more minutes I have per month, but for this month, but I keep forgetting to stop the recording after I'm done with it, so there's that. Anyway, let's jump into this. My volume's off.
Let's do console.log. We'll do some string interpolation. Deployed contract to, and then we'll add simple storage .address. Let's run this now. We get deploying contract, and then we get deployed contract to, and then we get a contract address. What's going on here? Hardhat has this fantastic tool built in called.
So I'm pretty sure we were doing, let's see, I don't know what this is doing. CD minus. We were doing. My cat just making sure that I am alive, which is good. I'm alive, sweetheart. She wants me to pet her while she drinks. We can do that. We can accommodate this. I'm pretty sure we were doing npx hardhat run script deploy. Okay. We're just gonna have a day, aren't we? We're just gonna have one of those days.
The Hardhat network. Hardhat comes built in with Hardhat network, a local Ethereum network node designed for development akin to Ganache that allows you to deploy your contracts and run your tests and debug your code. Whenever we run a command in Hardhat or a script in Hardhat or a task in Hardhat, we by default deploy to this fake Hardhat network. This Hardhat network is very similar to Ganache, except for instead of having this UI, it runs in the back.
I told them, hey mom, I spent 8 years on this degree, but I hate it, and I really want to change jobs. I'm sorry, I know this sounds crazy. I ended up going with Practicum. Practicum allowed me to keep my job.
You can always keep your job and train for the next thing. Yeah. I am super spoiled, and I know it, but this is allowing me the space that I need to get over my feelings about the acquisition and also get a job that I really want, which is developer advocate for, as much as I know about it, basically I can string doing tutorial videos all day, not me watching them, but me doing them, and basically doing like 0 to 1 websites and building Web3 projects all day, which would be really cool. And then I can listen to and host spaces as part of my job. And that's what I want with my life. I want to do simple projects and do my projects. So
Scroll down to the bottom to this module.export section and add more information about our default networks. So right now, if we don't have anything in this module.export, by default, it adds this piece called.
Okay, so if we go to stop doing that, the hardcat config, we are at 8:17. We checked on that before because he had an error. We did not. That the default is just defining the solidity.
Default network hardhat. So anytime we run a script without specifying a network, it automatically uses this fake hardhat network. And this fake hardhat network comes automatically with an RPC URL and a private key for you. So you don't even have to add one in. This is one of the major advantages of working with Hardhat. It just automatically gives you this fake blockchain and these fake private key.
Hey, that is really big because remember how Patrick was like, well, if you want to use your private key, you have to do all this stuff, encrypt it, blah, blah, blah. I said, do that. Just use the default Hardhat and it'll be fine.
If we want to be a little bit more explicit, and I always recommend being more explicit, we can add the default network in to the module.exports. So now our default network.
Why don't we also add that? Default network. I'm not sure if you can hear this, but I have an under hard hat, not hard work. I have an under desk elliptical, and while it's not really exercise, it's not exercise, so don't mind me.
Network is explicitly stated as hard hat. However, in any script you run, you can choose whatever network you want to work with. So if I want to explicitly say I want to run our deploy script on our fake hard hat network, I can do yarn hard hat, run scripts, deploy.js, -- network, hard hat. This is us telling hard hat, hey, we want to run this script on the hard hat network. Hopefully you might be able to see where this is going. Having this network flag makes it incredibly easy to switch across different chains, different blockchains, different private keys, etc. So we have our default network set to hard hat here. We can add other networks in here as well. The way we do that is we're going to add a networks section, and we're going to define any of the network sections that we want.
You sure?
And remember to put a comma there so that your
array?
Visual Studio Code doesn't get mad at you. So recently we worked with Rinkby. So let's go ahead and add a.
Okay, so maybe it's a value pair hash. Just surprised it's not an array, but hey. So and then we .env, we have this, right? We'll see.
A Rinkby network in here. So we're going to say another network is going to be Rinkby. Cool. So I should just be able to change the network flag to Rinkby now, right? Well, not quite. If you try to run that, you're going to get invalid.
Okay, well, he made this into a object, which means this has like a RPC situation.
Valid value undefined for hardhat config.networks.rinkby.url. It's expecting you to tell it, hey, what the URL is. Since this isn't the hardhat network, we need to tell hardhat exactly how we're going to connect to Rinkby. And this is where a lot of what we learned before is going to come in handy again. Exactly the same as what we did before, we're going to create a new .env file, and we're going to add our Rinkby URL.
Okay, so touch.env. So what touch does, it creates a file if it doesn't exist, but it doesn't do anything if it does exist. So what you're saying is I should just copy and paste the other one. We will just do this for now, and we will change the keys to be what he does.
In this .env file. Just remember, .env is in our .getignore, just in case. So in our .env, we're going to add that.
Yeah, it isn't in the getignore, right? Okay.
RPC URL from Alchemy back in here. Before we just said RPC URL, but since we might want to work across multiple networks, it's usually good to specify exactly what network each URL stands for. So we're going to say Rinkby RPC URL equals.
Okay. Something like that.
And then paste that URL in here. Now, as you probably have guessed, we can add our URL.
Wow, I had no idea. Wasn't paying attention. Okay. So I'm assuming according to his, we're not going in the deploy script. We're doing the hardhat config. This is just URL. And it's process.env and then probably something like this.
to our Rinkeby network here. For readability, I usually like to add them as variables right above the module.experts. So I'll say const Rinkeby RPC URL equals process.
Okay. So for readability, he says, I believe that's what he said anyway. Const for RPC URL equals const it's a little backwards, but hey, well, it'll do, pig. It'll do.
.env dot Rinkeby RPC URL. And once again, we're going to be pulling that Rinkeby RPC URL from our environment variable. Of course, in order to pull that environment variable in, we're going to need to use that .env package again. So to add that in, we're going to do yarn add --dev .env. And at the top of our hard hat.
Is it in my package JSON already? Like, did I did not. Okay, so npm I save. And then I think what he was going to say is wrong deploy script. What were you going to look for? Why is it so hard to remember things? This require.env config. Which I hope he goes over the TypeScript part too, because it's better. Rabble. Okay. So maybe it's this.
Config, we're going to add require .env and then do .config to enable the config. Now this means we should be able to pull our Rinkeby RPC URL from our .env. Now that we have that in our Rinkeby network, we can add URL Rinkeby RPC URL. Awesome. So we have an RPC URL for a different network, but what else do we usually need? Well, we usually need a private key to work with an actual network. Hardhat doesn't automatically give us a private key for Rinkeby because Hardhat can't just give us testnet Ethereum. We need to have an actual account. An actual testnets, Hardhat doesn't control those, so we have to actually give it a real URL and a real private key. So to add private keys, you actually add something called accounts. You add a list of accounts that you want to give to Hardhat. For us, we're only going to add.
Okay, so I was a little bit wrong on this, but this is an array of accounts, which probably means that this is going to be an object. Who knows?
One, which is going to be our private key. And for our private key, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to say const private key equals process.env private key. And since this private key is going to be a real private key for a real testnet, again, we are going to have to grab this from our MetaMask. So we'll go to our MetaMask, hit the 3 dots, account details, export private key, and we'll add our password in here. And then in our .env, we'll add private key equals, and then add our private key. Now, I know I've said this 100 times, but please, 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 for learning this, do not use a real key that is connected to any real money, just in case. Please use a new MetaMask. I know I've said it a bunch, but some people go, no, I'm going to be okay. I'll be safe. Just to be super, super safe here, please use a brand new MetaMask. So now that we have our private key, we're going to add it in here, account, private key, and now we have an account here. One more thing I like to do is I like to give the chain ID of the network, which for Rinkeby is going to be.
Okay, so that's something we need to. to look up. So freaking, let's go to MetaMask. What are my connected sites? I'm gonna disconnect to both of these just because you're not supposed to stay connected to these. Also, why am I on the Sepolia test network? Used to like huge numbers, and it's just like 5. I guess we're in here pretty early.
4. Every single EVM-based network has a new chain ID. An EVM network basically just means Solidity works on it. This includes all testnets. There's a good site called chainlist.org, which may or may not be going down at some point, that has a list of all these different networks. For example, you can see on here, Ethereum mainnet has a chain.
Okay, so chainlist.org. $420. I don't want to create an account, but I feel like this should have the transaction ID. Is this going to fail because it's the wrong chain ID?
ID of 1, Binance Smart Chain is 56, Avalanche is 43114, Phantom Opera 250, Polygon 137, etc. Each one of these EVM compatible chains has their own chain ID. For Rinkeby, the chain ID is 4. Adding the chain ID is helpful here for later on, and we'll get to that in the future. But for now, just go ahead and make sure to add your chain IDs. Okay, now that we have the RPC-URL, we have the private key, we can go ahead and test deploying this to an actual testnet. And I actually did something incorrect here, and we're gonna get an error here, and I want you to go ahead and try to figure out.
Okay, so MPX hard hat run scripts deploy, and then network go early. Okay, I wonder if we also are supposed to get this in transaction.
And debug this error yourself. You ready? All right, let's do it. We'll do yarn, hard hat, run scripts, deploy.js, -- network, Rinkeby. and we get this wonderfully weird error, which we see, we have deploying contract, so we know that in our deploy script, we get to at least this line, but then we're getting an error, highly likely here. So what's going on? It's saying, cannot read properties of null, reading send transaction. If you want, you can absolutely go to this spot, but it looks like it's having a hard time understanding what the private key or what the account of this is. And what do you think I'm going to recommend we do? Well, if it's not clear after doing a little bit of triaging and debugging, we're going to copy this error and we're going to come on over to Google and paste that right in. It looks like we do get a question here from Stack Exchange Ethereum. And it looks like it's really similar to what we're doing. We scroll down, they're running nearly the exact same script that we're running. They're using MPX instead of Yarn. They've got a pretty minimalistic deploy file. Let's scroll down and see what the answers have to say. I've seen this error when my private key wasn't properly populated. I would also use an environment variable. I'm pretty sure our environment variable is good, but we have a second one saying in your hardhat.config.js, it should be accounts instead of account. It worked for me. Let's go back to our hardhat.
Oh, that makes sense. So how was I supposed to know? But it's an array, so it's plural. Okay. So quick Google search wins. The error said like it was 420, but it's actually 5. So I tried, okay, I tried. Oh, I guess it's deploying, so we can go back to watching.
Config and see if that's what's going on. Aha! We put account when this should be accounts. So swap that over to accounts. We'll clear our terminal and we'll run this again. Aha, and now it's waiting a little bit longer, which is good. This means that we're probably deploying this to RinkB, which is what we want to see. Awesome, and now we can see deployed contract 2, and we have a contract address here. So we'll grab this contract, and we'll pop on over to RinkB Etherscan. That's not RinkB Etherscan. And we'll go ahead and we'll paste this in. Awesome, and we can see our contract was created about 26 seconds ago. Perfect. Now for this part, you don't have to deploy this to RinkB with me. If you follow along here, that's good enough.
That is probably not something you should be saying. Why do I have things up on my computer that people shouldn't be saying? Because we all know that we all, click on shit. But yeah, this is a transaction. Hashtag. It has all of the information. We are good. We're super good at all of this, at everything in our entire life. But we're trying to get to 10. We are almost halfway through. But we started at 8:20. Whatever. It's halfway through in my mind. 1 more hour. 1. But if we get to like a mini thing, I'm definitely taking a break. I've got things, deadlines, need to happen.
Enough. So remember, deploying to testnets can take a long time. So for this one, you don't have to deploy with me. All right, great. So
Hey, okay, so yes, I want to get through this. Yes, we've got all the things to do today. But I also need a little bit of a break. So 5-10 minutes, I'll be back. Okay? I will see you later.